My mom, Pam Hickson, graduated as a registered nurse in 1971, starting as a floor nurse in a local hospital. But soon she found that a swing shift and long hours proved difficult in raising her young family, including my sister and me. So she navigated her way into home health, where she found more stable hours and a steady income. Around that time, early 80s, hospice began to become a thing. Hospice is when you care for the terminally ill. It's when the healthcare system sends the patient home because there's not much else that they can do. And the patient is now surrounded by loved ones and familiar surroundings. And it was this career in hospice that my mom found her greatest purpose, her significance, her value. Soon she would find herself as the executive director of a local hospice agency. While she did derive a lot of purpose and value from that career, if you can imagine caring for those who would transition from this life to the next, the relational and emotional toll it took on her led to the biggest career burnout I had ever seen. You see, around the mid-2000s, electronic medical records, or EMR, began to become a thing. And if you know anything about my mom, she was not technologically savvy, and she found herself behind a desk more often than she was able to be bedside, caring for her patients. And soon enough, bureaucracy, administrative work, and EMR became her begrudging focus. She wanted nothing more than to retire, to exit the rat race that she had found herself in, and to live a quiet life on the farm that my dad and her still lived on. And so, she ran the idea past her primary financial advisor, to which her advisor pulled out her software credentials and experience and ran the numbers and concluded that, yes, Mom and Dad did have enough money to retire. Well, I was 8 years into my career as a financial advisor at the time, and my mom wanted to give me the honor to take a second look and offer a second opinion. So I too pulled out my software, my credentialing, and my experience, and I came up with the same result, and I gave her the green light to retire. And so she did. Within a few short weeks of retiring, in the fall of 2010, we knew something was wrong. You see, she knew exactly what she was retiring from, but she had no idea what she was retiring to. Her identity was wrapped up in her title and her position in the hospice agency and as a hospice nurse. And while it led to a lot of burnout, she had no idea what was next for her. She knew she had enough money to sleep at night, but not enough purpose to get up in the morning. And after months of wandering and boredom and not knowing exactly who she was, she found herself in a deep depression with a lot of anxiety. And within 6 months of retirement, on the morning of March 22nd, 2011, my mom, Pam Hickson, chose to take her life. The ripple effects of that decision were staggering. My dad and her were high school sweethearts, and he was left with no companion to live the rest of his life with. My sister and I had no mom. My kids, her grandkids, would miss out on the blessing that their grandma would be to them. And I was left to pick up the pieces. You see, I was one of the financial advisors that gave my mom the green light to retire, the very thing that drove her to her death. And the immense amount of guilt and shame that I felt was staggering. And I could have chosen to allow that guilt to ruin me, to define me. But I chose, by God's grace, to turn this tragedy into triumph and these stumbling blocks into stepping stones. And I now know that it's not near as important for the retiree to determine what they're retiring from, but it's important for them to discover what they're retiring to find meaning, to live with purpose, to leave a legacy, to make their future bigger than their past. And our passion, our heartbeat, is to help you find purpose in your life to make your future bigger than your past, and that you can avoid the same mistakes that my mom may have made as she navigated her retirement journey. Our goal is to help retirees avoid the mental health challenges that come with an unplanned retirement.